movieweb.com.
Trevor! Get in here! What's out? Ah! Trapped. Is that we are?
Don't worry. Direction is my sixth sense.
What's out?
We're still falling!
You were a tremendous leading actor in these big budget action films, Journey to the Center of the Earth, the Mummy films, but then Gods and Monsters, The Quiet American, you know, just tremendous dramatic roles. So I just want to ask you, what do you enjoy playing more? Do you like the big budget action films, or do you like the more dark dramatic stuff?
Truth is, actors like to act. We like to work. We don't idle well. I think there's a time to do one thing, and there's a time to do another. You know what? You do some for love. You do some for money. Sometimes the one that you do for love give you money. Sometimes the ones that you do for money don't give you any love. But you gotta find a way to strike a balance between the two. And I've been lucky in my career to have diversity be the operative word to rule the choices that I've made. And in the case of Journey to the Center of the Earth 3D, it's just another way to create a picture that has global appeal, because it reaches out to families. It brings everyone in, all under one roof. And the essential thing about this picture is that you have to go to the movie. You have to go to the house, sit down, put the glasses on to see it properly. You really do. And what that does is, effectively, it makes the audience the star of the movie.
All right, Sean, I'm gonna start lowering you down really, really slowly. So just lean back and keep your feet up high. Okay, Sean. We tell it together so nothing bad is gonna happen.
Yeah, sure.
Good. Okay, Sean, just make conversation with me.
So, Hannah, do you come here often?
Oh, give me a break. That can't be the best.
Trevor!
Get to the wall, Trevor!
I can't! The wall's wide now down here!
Trevor, your rope is caught on mine. If I take us all down, I'm gonna have to cut you loose.
What?
Hell no!
Wait a minute! Wait!
No, Trevor!
Your character plays a mountain guide, and you're kind of badass with the film. Talk about the training, about being able to rappel and doing all that good stuff.
Well, through my good fortune, I've had a very, very geeky obsession with combat for a while. So I was training, from a young age in like hand-to-hand combat and with, swords and broadswords and all kinds of funny stuff. So in that way, that was sort of where I built off of, the core of Hannah. I trained especially in things like rappelling, and another special skill that I acquired was tying knots. I have a few different methods of tying knots throughout the movie. Let me see if we can count them out. There are a few. So I was adamant that I wanted Hannah to be able to do it completely, with her eyes closed. That would be something that would be completely natural to her. So I would often sit in my hotel room and tie these knots with my eyes closed. So that is a skill that I have that I care for very much from this film.
Way. Picnic rocks.
One of my favorite scenes is the magnetic rock scene, where you're jumping from rock to rock. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. They filmed that all on green screen, except for the rocks themselves were like fiberglass. They fabricated them in some sort of workshop, and then they put them on these rigs where they did different sort of things. Like one would like rotate all the way over, where I got flipped around, and then one would land and kind of like wobble some. So it was really fun to shoot too.
The 3D effect in this movie is really great, mind-blowing. You've done a few of these big budget action adventure films now for a young actor. What's different about filming for 3D than, let's say, for Zathura?
They're actually, you know, when it comes to filming, we didn't have to do anything really that different. You know, I mean, there are a few times where we had to throw stuff towards the cameras just to kind of make it come out to the audience, but other than that, it was the same thing. The only difference was the cameras themselves, and it was actually two separate cameras that shot side by side. It was the right eye and the left eye, so it was two different lenses to get that 3D effect.
As a visual effects maestro, directing this film, what's more difficult about filming for the 3D technology?
Well, I think you just have to be aware that the audience can see in depth, and things that you might do that are cheats in normal 2D filmmaking, like you might have two characters cheat their eye lines a little, not look at each other, but it looks fine to a single camera. When you're shooting with two cameras in 3D, the audience will go, well, why aren't they looking at each other? Things like painted flat backgrounds won't work at all. So there's certain things that you have to be aware of that the audience can see in depth, just like they were there on the set. That's probably the only restriction, and the only restriction that I would allow myself to deal with. Everything else was, even though it was a fancy new digital camera, never been used before, amazing technology, I said I want to put that thing on cranes, underwater, on helicopters, handheld, like any other camera, because I'm making a movie that's going to work in 2D just as well as it does in 3D. And the audiences who've seen it in 2D respond to it the same way. The audiences who see it in 3D have like an extra bonus because it's really fun. All the stuff that comes near the camera actually comes into the audience space.
Something moving down there! I think it's some sort of fish! Maybe this...
They're everywhere! So I told you we get to the batting cage! Bad run!
Okay, let's see what you've got. Yeah! Line drive!
I'm a big fan of Brendan Fraser. He's a tremendously likable leading man, and him and Josh and you are the only three humans in the film pretty much as far as acting. What was it like working with them under these conditions for the 3D camera for so long?
It was great. You know what? We were all this is the first time it's ever been done. So we were all really learning on the job. We were you know, we looked at it for the first time, and I was so taken back because it's a different way of storytelling altogether. You know, I really think it's the most exciting thing to happen to the entertainment industry in 50 years. You know.
What was it like working with them? Brendan is, you know, always comes off as so likable on screen. What's he like to work with as a lead actor?
Very likable, really, really cool guy, stand-up guy. He's just a goofball. You know, he's a lot of fun, just joking around, having a great time on set. And Anita was really great too.
I think he's an amazing actor. He's so good at the big action stuff and the comedy stuff that people forget he's a damn fine dramatic actor. And what I did in directing him was I made sure that the performance didn't get too broad, that the comedy didn't get too big, that we never lost sight of this is a sympathetic character, this is an emotional guy. At the beginning of the movie, things aren't going well for him, and over the course of his story, he really becomes the hero.
This is the zenith of technology from a visual effects standpoint. Right here, in this picture, right now. The audience doesn't want to see everybody's homework. I don't care about that. They want to see the result. And in this picture, I don't need to be proud, but we feel pretty good about being the first ones out of the gate to take advantage of all the technology that's out there right now and give it to the people and let them decide. Is this the next step in cinematography? Is it? Well, let's ask ourselves, where did movies go when the moving image was married with an audio track? We got the talkies. Then came color. You fill in the rest. It's an important time for movies.